Good evening, welcome to another exciting edition of So Into Bourbon. I'm Glenn, this is Charlie.
Hello.
Back in Charlie's basement, and tonight, Old Forester, the 117 series.
Warehouseh.
Okay, Charlie.
Okay, Glenn.
Okay, so we have two bottles of Old Forester sitting in front of us.
Absolutely, and if you are a bourbon drinker, you should recognize this beautiful little bottle here. This is classic Old Fo 100 proof. And if you know anything about Old Forester, which we hope that you do, Old Forester is kind of unique in the sense that all of their bourbon is essentially the same.
Same mash bill.
Correct.
Except for the rye.
Except for the rye. 72% corn, 18% rye, 10% malted barley. So all of these different expressions in Old Forester are just from proof, age, warehouse location, etc. So you really get to notice the intrinsic qualities of the bourbons based on those things.
Yeah, maybe they taste different because they were in a different warehouse or a different floor in the warehouse.
And different proofs, 100 proof, barrel proof, 90 proof, 94 proof, etc., etc. So what we have today is we're very excited about the 117 series, which was kicked off when, Glenn?
2022.
2022. No, spring of 2021.
See, you already got me.
Spring of 2021, they kicked off the 117 series. What is the 117 series? It's just a bunch of special releases in these tiny little Glen-shaped bottles. See, they're smaller. My wife told me to make that joke, and I made him laugh.
Does that mean this is my bottle and that's your bottle?
In the sense that that one's just fatter. Yeah, that one's me. So, but the 117 series has featured Fire Survivor from the Fire on Whiskey Row, 1910 Extra Old. There's a couple others. They're all online. This is the newest one, which is Warehouseh.
Tell us about Warehouseh. What is so special about Warehouseh, Charlie?
I'm so glad you asked that. Straight from the Old Forester website, all the information you want to know about Warehouseh. Warehouseh is symbolic of Old Forester's growth after World War II. Construction on the brick warehouse began in 1946. It houses 50,000 barrels, 4 stories, 8-chamber warehouse was designed to be heat cycled.
And we have kind of talked about this before in a previous episode, but for those who haven't seen that, what exactly does that mean, heat cycled?
Great question. So heat cycling is just that. We are going to cycle those barrels, meaning when a barrel gets hot, like in the Kentucky summers, that bourbon is pushed into the barrel wood. That's what gives it all that awesomeness. In the wintertime, that doesn't happen because guess what? In the wintertime,
it's cold.
It's cold.
Just laying there. It's not going in and out of the barrel. So.
Some people say dormant. And what heat cycling does is you cycle the heat in the building, which in turn cycles the bourbon into the barrel. So this goes back to, and I believe it was previously like invented by old E.H. Taylor. Not many distilleries do this anymore. There's a handful, Woodford Reserve, Old Forester. I know Michter's does. You have to have a brick building. So if you see a brick rack house, chances are it might be heat cycled, and fewer windows at the top. So it heats it up, they get it hot, they let that heat out, let it get cold again, heat it up again.
So in a sense, it kind of speeds up the aging process, maybe, would you say?
That's the theme, and that's the idea behind it. Old Elmer T. Lee said you could essentially turn a 4-year bourbon into a 6-year bourbon through heat cycling. So, but again, it's personal preference, right? Some people love those products that are heat cycled. Some people are like, oh, I want the all natural, just let it sit. Ultimately, it's personal preference, and does it make a huge difference? I don't know.
I guess we'll find out, right?
That's the answer.
So these two bottles, we're using the Old Forester 100 proof just because it's closest in proof to this bottle here. So this is kind of our control bottle.
Correct. And this is 100, it's a batched bourbon. So it's going to be from all the warehouses, right? So it's a blend, it's blended for flavor, proof down to 100 proof, and to create that flavor profile. If you would like to pop, absolutely pop. Pop that tiny bottle. Hey, that was a good one. So as
I'll let you pour because I have a tendency to pour a little heavy.
Yeah, and spill it everywhere.
Yeah.
So as Glenn mentioned, this is 98 proof, and this is a batched bourbon as well. It's not a single barrel, but it is all barrels from warehouseh. So the theory behind it is you're going to get all of the character from warehouseh.
Charlie, where can you buy that bottle?
Great question. You can't. Ha! It was a distillery-only release. A few handful of stores in Kentucky got a couple, so they're gone. They may pop back up. You never know. Distilleries, they squirrel some away. Some get sent out for distribution. But if you weren't Johnny on the spot on their website and live in one of the 4 or 5 states they ship to, you didn't get one. If you weren't in line at the distillery, you didn't get one.
If you were lucky enough to be one of those people who got one, what did it set you back?
It was a 2-pack at the distillery, and I believe it was $125 for 2 bottles. So it's a little on the steeper side, but it is 2 bottles of the 375 milliliter. So, shall we know some Old Fo 100?
Do you remember which is in which glass?
I do.
Okay, good. This is the 100, correct?
That's the 100.
All right.
So, smells like bourbon.
Yep. It's got that classic Old Forester smell to it.
Yes, and we have done previous episodes on Old Forester. They're single barrels, 1910. Big fans of Old Forester. And if you don't have a bottle of the 100, you should, because A, it's readily available, B, it's cheap, and C, it's great in everything. 100 proof, so it stands up in any cocktail you want to make. You can drink it straight, neat, over ice cubes, port and Coke, doesn't matter.
Right.
It's cheap, you can just go get another bottle.
We talk about utility bourbons all the time.
Absolutely.
And
that's a great one to have. So, yep, great nose. Pick up a lot more chocolate on the nose than that kind of sweet, dark sweetness.
Yeah, get a little chocolate.
I haven't had Old Fo 100 in a while.
In some barrel, a little char.
Yeah, a little char, a little oakiness. Cheers.
Cheers.
Sip. It's a good bottle of bourbon.
It sure is. You know what? It's been a while since I've had the 100 proof just neat.
By itself.
Yeah. Usually it's, making an old fashioned or mixing it with ginger ale.
Yeah, but, obviously we're not going to spend a ton of time on this one telling you all about it because we want you to go and drink it and then tell us what you think on our comments and all that. But it's a really good bottle of bourbon. It's everything that you want. I'm surprised, 72% corn, 18% rye. You get a little rye spice on that. There's a little spiciness up front. It's great. It lingers. It's perfect, right? It's a perfect bottle of bourbon in this market.
There's the rye spice up front, and then the sweet corn, kind of mid palate, and then it finishes with a little bit of chocolate.
Yeah, great bottle of bourbon to have. Now,
Absolutely.
I'm super excited to see, is old 117 warehouseh truly going to be different, or is it just going to taste like Old Fo?
We're about to find out.
Shan't we nose? Different nose.
Yeah, the nose is different. It's a little bit muted to me from the 100 proof.
Yeah, two down, right? 100 to 98, but minimal, right?
Yeah,
Shouldn't really matter.
I mean, that small difference in proof, I wouldn't think would make a difference on the nose. So it's interesting. I'm getting a little bit of fruit.
Yeah, a little fruit, that sweet corn, but there's not a whole lot there, which is kind of...
No, there's not. I mean, there's nothing that's really standing out. Like I said, a little bit of the fruit, but I couldn't tell you exactly what. And then there's no ethanol at all.
No. Cheers.
Cheers.
Do some drinking.
It is definitely different.
Way different.
Yeah. It's a little more oaky to me. It's got a little more bitterness to it.
Yep. But that bitterness, it would almost taste like bitterness up front, then kind of gives way to like that kind of licorice, that sweet, kind of sweet and sour sort of deal.
I'm trying the sweet and sour, like a Chinese meal.
Tastes like Kung Pao chicken. No, that's not. I think you're right. I think that's really oaky.
Which I guess it might make sense if it is in the heat cycled warehouse. It's going in and out of the barrel a little more than the 100 proof. I guess that would make sense that it'd be a little more oaky.
I'm really surprised that there is.
I'm gonna go back to the.
Yeah, there's almost no sweetness to the Warehouse H. So if you like something a little on the sweeter side, which I often do, and you want something with some of that complexity, this may be a little bit of a disappointment to you. It's really oaky. It's really bold, strong. Like it's a strong flavor.
Yeah, and it's got. It has the spiciness, but that kind of is the secondary.
Yeah.
It hits you kind of mid palate.
Yep.
To the back of the palate, and
dry finish.
Yeah.
Do you get that dry finish on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It is. It is very interesting. I will say that.
And let's look at the. It's darker. The 117 is darker.
Yeah, I think you're right. And maybe this is some older stuff. I mean, that's absolutely possible that they pulled some older barrels. It drinks like an older. It's not age stated, so you're not going to get any sort of age statement from it. But the one thing that Old Forester says is Warehouse H is unusual in its heat cycling profile, with the first floor sometimes hitting the highest temperatures. Which, if you know anything about thermodynamics, which we hope that you do, turning into our show. Heat rises, so that's why people like to go up in the rack house, because that's where the temperature is. You get more of that push into the barrel. Warehouse H is flip-flop. So interesting story.
Yes.
An interesting bottle, and if we know anything about bourbon, the story sells the bottle.
It does, and Old Forester has a long history, a long story. One really interesting fact about Old Forester.
Only one?
No, this is
The most, okay.
number one. It's the first bottled bourbon.
That's kind of important.
Yes, very important. Before this, bourbon was sold in barrels.
Yeah. Or whatever.
Yeah, whatever, or a jug. You know, you
Bring your own.
jug and you fill it up. And one other interesting fact: I can't talk.
Yeah, it's the 100 proof.
Old Forester is one of only 3 distilleries that was able to continue to produce bourbon during Prohibition.
For
whiskey. I said bourbon. Whiskey.
For medicinal use.
Purposes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not to interrupt this trip down memory and history lane, but I do have an ace in the hole.
You have a what?
An ace in the hole.
What you call me?
So I like this comparison, I do.
Yeah?
But I'm very intrigued by Warehouse H.
Uh-oh. Where are we going?
So,
Oh, surprise.
surprise bottle.
Oh,
I have 12. There's no other way to say it. 12 Old Forester single barrels
don't
scrolled
say
away.
that too loud.
I have 12. This is 90 proof. It's discontinued. This is the Master Taster Selection 3. So this is a pretty awesome. This is from the gift shop. This is from the Master Taster. And it is the only one that I have from Warehouse H.
Interesting.
Floor 6.
When did you get this?
A couple years ago. Okay. I've had this one for a while. So I thought, you know what? We'll compare it to the 100, but let's really go off script and really surprise Glenn. And I'm going to get you a fresh glass.
That's all right. I'll knock this one back.
No, buddy. We are professionals, and I love being able to surprise.
Would you say we are master tasters?
I would say we are masters of.
We don't say it.
Did you hear that pop?
Good job.
Made it pop. It's about time. It's only been 27 episodes. So this is a 90 proof, so it's going to be proofed down a little less than the 98 we were drinking. One of my favorite things is Old Forester single barrels, and a couple of years ago you were able to find these everywhere, and now you can't, and the 90s have been discontinued, but that's why I have 12 of them just scrolled away. And I'm glad I do, because now we can do this.
I'm glad you do too.
Color is definitely darker than both of them.
Sure is. A little bit darker than the 117.
And a 90 proof just clings to the glass.
Sure does.
And this is what started my love affair with Old Forester, is these single barrel selections.
It's got a great nose on it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Very fruity, apple.
Like fruit punch.
Yep.
Fruit punch, no ethanol, 90 proof, you shouldn't get any.
A little grape there too.
Yeah, really. And this is from floor 6, which it has 4 stories. So this is going to be somewhere, my guess would be somewhere toward the top. All right. Cheers.
Cheers,
Single
sir.
barrel.
So sweet. But not too sweet.
Super awesome. A lot more complexity out of this one.
Yep.
You get sweet up front, like that kind of sweet molasses. It has a really nice mouthfeel to it.
It does. It's very kind of creamy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it has the finish that the 117 has. That kind of, that deep char, the licorice, that bold kind of oakiness. So
But not the dryness. It
not
doesn't
the
have
dryness.
bitterness.
It does not have that bitter,
Yeah.
that dryness.
And it also, it doesn't quite have the spice as the other two. Which makes sense. It's a little more watered down.
Yeah.
That's a good.
That is a good
That's
pour.
a good pour.
Yep. So, boy, I was glad Dave, I was able to throw that audible in there and surprise you.
So the episode is for the 117,
It is.
but
But I'm going to bring it back around.
okay.
And how I'm going to do that is to, as we often do, kind of the State of the Union. This is what we used to have. We used to have readily available, awesome single barrel selections that you could walk into many stores, distilleries, they just have them sitting out, and then they're gone. This bottle was probably $49.99 at the distillery. And I can remember paying $39.99 and even $29.99 for Old Forester single barrel selections 4 and 5 years ago. Now we've come to the point where we have the little bottles and the little backstory, and it's batched. I'm not saying we're worse off. I'm just saying that that's where we are now. And
So wait, how much did you pay for this one?
I want to say it was $49.99.
And how much for this little guy?
2 of them were $125. Yeah.
And if you would like to purchase, just kidding.
And that's where we are, because this is, and I'm sure our viewers are sick of hearing me saying it, the bourbon economy, the bourbon market is, these distilleries are businesses, and they figured out we don't have to sell it for X amount of dollars. They'll pay more, and they is us.
Yeah.
So, and I did, like an idiot.
All right, Charlie, let's get back on track. So we've tried the Old Forester 100 proof, the Old Standby. We've tried the 117 series,
Warehouse H, yep.
And we've tried the single barrel, it's a 90 proof. The Warehouse H is a 98 proof. Rank them.
Grade 'em.
1 to 3.
Oh, we're going gold,
In order. 1,
silver,
2, 3.
bronze.
Yep.
Gold, silver, bronze.
You know what? I definitely agree with you on the bronze. The gold and silver for me, I think, are almost interchangeable.
Really? Is it?
Yeah, this is, so the single barrel is definitely a little bit more complex,
Yeah.
but I like the proof of the 100 proof.
I will not argue over anything that you say. I like the fact, and if you've watched our videos, you know that I have a soft spot and am very romantic about single barrel bourbons. This bottle exists right now. When it's gone forever.
Right.
That I can go to any Meijer or Walgreens and buy one anytime I want.
Yeah, packs a little more punch, and just for the price and the availability and the flexibility of it. You can do pretty much whatever you want.
And what a great way to round it out, that you don't have to wait in line and, you know, try to be the quickest on the internet to get a bottle or hunt something or get on secondary. There are great bottles and good bottles of bourbon sitting at your local store. Pick them up and drink them.
By all means, if you want a collector's piece or something that's just interesting that you know you're not going to be able to get again, chase the 117. If you just want a really good bottle of bourbon and don't want to spend a whole lot of money, go with the Old Forester 100.
Yeah. Now I will say this.
And if you can find a single barrel,
oh yeah,
grab it.
Always buy a single barrel Old Fo. What I will say is I don't regret buying the 117 because I have drank a lot of Old Foresters, both their regulars, their Whiskey Row series, their single barrels, and that is the most unique Old Forester that I've ever had.
You think?
Oh yeah, because it's so far out of character for them. Like that is just oaky, bold.
Yeah,
spiciness.
Okay. Yeah.
Like even birthday.
I mean, other than the rye.
Other than the rye, which is not
right.
Yeah, but I mean, I've had a couple birthday bourbons too. That is the most unique. Now, it's not, you know, it doesn't blow my skirt up. I wouldn't seek it out. It's not in my kind of flavor profile, but I'm glad I got to try it. So
absolutely,
no buyer's remorse here. We say it all the time. The one thing you can't be in this market is boring or bland, and that is not boring or bland. It is big and bold.
I would agree.
Well, that's all that matters. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, please.
Please do. And give us a follow on Instagram, So Into Bourbon. Join the Facebook group, So Into Bourbon.
Follow Glenn on TikTok, Whiskey Realtor.
You got it.
I did get it this time.
And until next time, tell them, Charlie.
Keep your bunghole tight. Good night, everybody.
That's an order.
Ordered.